Have y'all ever been, like, waiting to just, like, start a video while you're, I don't know, eating lunch, dinner, you're on a break from work, just something to pass the time because, you know, at heart everybody is an iPad baby, but you're just waiting to start a video and you click on one that's called maybe early 2000s nostalgia or forgotten or obscure series or something along those lines. And then when you actually click play, number one on the list is something so not obscure. It's literally like Girls Go Games or also a surgery game on some weird website that everybody just happens to know. I'm personally so tired of seeing the same old recycled sites be talked about again and again and again, which is why in this video I actually want to try and hit some pretty obscure games. I wanted to start a little bit less obscure and then gradually move down, kind of like one of those icebergs. At the bottom, I would honestly be surprised if anybody else as a child played these two. So let me know if you did or didn't, and I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, I can already see the backlash now, but hear me out. So the first website, like I said, is gonna start off way less obscure than the ones on the lower half of this tier list. I wanted to start with Free Rice because I just was thinking about my older elementary school days back in the early 2000s, and whenever we had like our electives for the week and it was computer lab day, everybody was encouraged to be playing on this website. If you don't know what Free Rice is, it's kind of exactly what it sounds like, in a way. So the official description of it is Free Rice is an online trivia game that donates the equivalent of 10 grains of rice to the UN World Food Program for each correct answer. It was created by John Breen and it's owned by the UN World Food Program now. Basically, you go on the site and then the site will do a bunch of different trivia questions about like vocabulary, history, science, math, just a whole slew of stuff. Every answer that you get right on that trivia page, you donate, like I said, the equivalent of 10 grains of rice. However, what a lot of people didn't know, and I think still don't know to this day, is it's not talking about like actual literal rice. It's the equivalent in a monetary way. So yes, some rice is purchased through this program because it is a staple food in a lot of parts of the world, and it's a cheaper food that allows for more of it to be purchased in higher quantities. It's more easily accessible. However, rice is really just a metaphor. It's a metaphor, in the words of the creator, to make the game more tangible for players of all ages. His statement is that the funds are generated through the game and they support the WFP's program overall, where the needs are greatest. How it works is just private sponsors match the rice grain donations generated within the game, and then that triggers a financial payment to the WFP. It's a great program, but honestly, I remember as a kid in computer lab on Thursdays, I would be playing and I sucked at math trivia as a kid. And I remember I would get like a question wrong and I'd be so upset with myself because I'd be like, oh shit, like that's one less grain of rice that now I'm donating. But yeah, I wanted to start with that one. Segueing into a slightly less obscure but still kind of obscure game, we have Barbie Nail Game. That's what I called it as a kid, but the actual title of it, the more well-known one, is Barbie Dazzling Nails Minigame. This one was released back in 2007, so I was 5 when it came out. I was born in 2002. It was hosted on / like a part of My Scene, which might ring a few more bells for everybody. It's still a really popular website, but it was especially popular back in early 2000s. It was also featured on BarbieGirls.com when that was still a mainstream, like still around website. I know that there are various offshoots of it now, but the OG website in the 2000s, 2010s, that was the place to be if you wanted to play this game. This game, I was literally obsessed. So basically, you could just pick between 4 characters that were well known on the website. You could pick Barbie, Madison, Chelsea, or Nole. I feel silly, but I don't know how you say that. I think it's Nole, but I'm not sure. Basically, the rundown of this game, it's just you pick the character and then you have like an overhead shot of their nails, and you have all these bottles on the left and all of these designs and jewelry, and you could just design them, customize them, do whatever you wanted. I remember as a kid, I was particularly obsessed, aside from like the sparkly bottles, with the rainbow pattern. That aside though, after that, you could also print your designs out. You could save them and then print them out in color, so that way you could either like cut out the little nail strips and glue them on, or you could try and replicate them in real life. TBH, I don't know how many like 5-year-old kids were doing all that though. I know I wasn't. I was lazy as hell. I did not do all that, but the option was there. So there's that. Okay, so going down to 3, this one I feel is slowly bordering on obscurity. Could be dead ass wrong when saying that, but I'm trying. I don't know, I've just like never heard anybody blab about this before, and I was ungodly obsessed with this game when I was a kid. This came out in 2004. It's a Sanrio game. I was an OG from the get-go. I was literally 2 when I became a fan of Sanrio. Shout out to my mom. She was also a Sanrio fan when she was a kid. She loved Little Twin Stars. This disc game for PCs came out in 2004. It was called Hello Kitty Cutie World, officially licensed by Sanrio. This was basically a game of minigames, which you'll find is probably a semi-common theme throughout this. I ate this shit up like nobody's business. This shit was my absolute favorite game for a long time as a kid, and I thought just the visual effects of it were so appealing. It was so cute. So the first minigame name is Creative Kitty. I was gonna say you'll find that a lot of the minigame titles are not that creative, ironically enough. They're very straightforward, but I guess that's fair because it is targeted towards kids. But anyway, the first one was called Creative Kitty. I like to compare it to like a virtual kind of sticker book or a coloring sheet. I loved this game as a kid because I personally just really enjoyed seeing how much shit I could possibly shove onto a page and then make it look good. So after the coloring book pages, you had a game called Kitty Cards. This is literally just a matching game. It's literally just you flip over a card and try to find the pair or the matching pair somewhere else in the deck. This was timed. I think it was 2 minutes. I can't remember. It was like a minute and some change maybe. This shit stressed me out so bad. Literally, I don't know what my problem was as a kid, but time constraints on games made me like tweak the fuck out. Like, I hated them. So I rarely played this game, not gonna lie. Same goes for the third one you could pick, Candy Tiles. This was literally just this exact game in a different font. Instead of matching card pairs, it was just tiles. To be real, I don't think I ever played this game. Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth was the fourth game. This was my shit. Like, this was my favorite game by far. The basic rundown is exactly as you see. You just had to make little ice cream sundaes for Hello Kitty and her friends, which were a bunch of other more obscure now Sanrio characters. You just had to look at the photo that was in the little speech bubble next to them and then make the sundae. This was the original, like the OG Papa's Freezeria. This was it. 2004, I don't know of an earlier version of a game that was kind of like this. I wonder if they took inspiration from it. The answer is probably not. I'm probably on some shit, but like, I think it would be cute. Next, there was one called A Sleepy Song. I sucked ass at this, and that is all. Then there was Oh Starry Night. This one was okay. Not gonna lie, it was kind of boring. I mean, it was just connect the dots, but like less satisfying because, I don't know, like it pissed me off. Cause like, as soon as you connected all the dots, if you didn't do it in the exact right way, more stars or dots would pop up, so you'd have to go redo it. And then also, even when you were done, it would just transition you to the next picture. Like, it wouldn't like show the picture when it was completed or any of that shit. Like, it would literally just show you nothing and then throw you into the next level. And I don't know, kid brain me and contemporary brain me did not like that. Like, show me the picture. I want to see it. Then there was Penguin Catch. My younger brother, actually, was obsessed with this game. This was his favorite game. I still remember that to this day. This game also stressed me the hell out. Like, actually, like, I don't know what I was on as a kid. I was always so stressed. Like, I was constantly tweaking. But this game stressed me out because I never wanted to drop the penguin. Like, I felt so bad when I would. So, like, I don't know. I liked watching him play it because he liked it and, like, he was good at it. But when I tried to play it, I just felt tense the whole time. Last but not least, we have basically a ripoff of Penguin Catch, Balloon Ride. This is basically the OG Jetpack Joyride. You just control Hello Kitty, who's in a hot air balloon, you avoid bees, and then you catch butterflies. That's literally it. The buzzing sound was the most grating noise to me as a kid. It low-key sounds like Satan, but like ripping ass. I just don't like it. This game, I really didn't touch. I really only played the Sunday game. But yeah, Hello Kitty disc game, Hello Kitty Cutie World 2004. Let me know if anybody else ever played this, because this shit was my favorite for such a long time. Now this is where things start getting very, very obscure. We start getting into territory that I feel is so obscure, I honestly don't even know if anyone will know what I'm talking about, except for the one other person on YouTube who has ever uploaded footage of this. So shout out to y'all. But anyway, the Crayola plug-and-play system. This came out in 2004, and it was technically by the creators of Crayola, Benny and Smith. And it was called the Crayola My First TV Play System, or the My First TV Plug-and-Play System. This, like the Hello Kitty Cutie World, was just a bunch of minigames in an overarching game system. So you had basic coloring book pages. Those were very straightforward and cutesy and fun. They featured things like animals and crayons. You had a racing game where the characters, which were crayons, were also in crayon cars. Then you had Jungle Jump. This was like a platform game where it was like a parkour type style minigame. You just had to jump from platform to platform, where some moved vertically, some moved horizontally. There really was no like end goal to this one, I don't recall. As far as I know, it was kind of just like an endless game, kind of like Temple Run or Doodle Jump. Then you had a color matching card match-ish game, kind of similar to the Hello Kitty Cutie World card matching game that I mentioned before. This one, it was basically the same thing except just with colors rather than characters. Then you had a ball catching game. You just had to catch in a glass jar at the bottom of the screen different colored drops of ink that would fall from the top. I don't really know what the objective of this game was. I remember I liked it as a kid because I thought it was satisfying, but like other than that, I don't really think there was a point. I really don't. Then there was a ripoff of Snake, a Brick Breaker knockoff, and then there was this random game that was like bouncing a ball and popping balloons. I also don't know the point of this one. I really don't. It was like a time waster. And then there was a timed color sorting game, and then a pinball machine-esque game, which, like, to be real, what kid in 2004 is gonna know how to play pinball? Maybe that's a crazy take, I don't know. Maybe somebody out there is gonna be like, I actually loved pinball as a kid, but I did not. I didn't even know what it was, but I don't know. This one was very, very obscure to me. I remember I got it in early 2000s. I actually went, I think it was to Pennsylvania with my mom, my brother, and then my grandpa and my grandma, and we stayed in the Crayola Hotel, and he got me this there, I want to say. He got me that, and then a box of like 100 Crayola crayons with a sharpener in the back. I love my grandpa. He got me some cool stuff, but I've honestly not seen many people talk about this system before, and when I bring it up to friends, they're just like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know, but you'd think this would go for a lot, like, online, since it's bordering, like, teetering on the edge of becoming lost physical media. But honestly, it doesn't. Like, it sells on eBay, I think, for $8 I saw. I was like, shit. Like, I was about to dig it out of my storage closet and be like, okay, I'm about to make bank. But no, this shit is cheap. Crayola gaming system. Let me know if anybody has ever even heard of that. I would love to know. Last but not least, I have what I personally think is probably the most obscure entry on this list. I was debating between this as the last one and then the Crayola one I mentioned previously as the last one, but I feel like this one is definitely more obscure. I don't know if anybody else as a kid was familiar with VTech, the company, more specifically V-Smile. If you can't catch on to a common theme yet throughout my childhood, I was very much one of those granola kids who engaged a lot with the educational type series and games, and V-Smile particularly was one of those educational gaming systems. I think it originated in Germany or some area of Europe and then was popularized somewhat in the West. The V-Smile game that I'm talking about is the V-Smile Scooby-Doo game, and it was called Funland Frenzy. Basically, Scooby and the gang get called to this theme park. I think it's literally just called Funland. The owner is like, there's a bunch of spooky shit going on, and they just discover that it's a bunch of projectors and like smoke and mirrors and all that per usual, but unsurprisingly, drumroll please, this one is also just a bunch of mini games within a larger game. Aside from the overarching story of figuring out that the theme park isn't actually haunted, that's a very loose narrative to begin with anyway. There's really not a big huge plot to it. It's just a bunch of small games that are supposed to help kids learn how to do grammar, how to spell, how to read, and then also, to the bane of child me, how to do basic arithmetic. I literally sucked so bad at math, and I still do to this day. So these math mini games in particular to me were like demonic. I could not do them, and I remember having to ask my mom to help me with them because I would get so frustrated. But anyway, this game came out in 2004 as well. It was originally released in the US and the UK, and then Spain eventually got a version of it in 2006, which honestly I'm surprised it was popular enough to even get a version in Spain, like an adaptation, but anyway. So the mini games that were featured in this one, we had Deep Sea Dunk, which was a game for learning how to spell and read basic words. We had Sky Sail, which was a math game. You flew through the sky with a jetpack and you had to do basic mathematic equations. Then you had Maze Manor, which was your standard logic puzzle game. You had to collect numbers in a numerical chronological order to progress from level to level and open doors within the maze. Then you had Coaster Caper. That was another spelling game where you just spelled words typically related to animals or a theme park. I swear V-Smile VTech also had a V-Smile bike thing, which I'll put here so no one thinks I'm hallucinating it, but I swear there was a part of this Scooby-Doo V-Smile game where it was like Tetris and the V-Smile bike had something to do with it, I swear. But no matter how hard I look, I cannot find evidence of this. Like, I really can't. So I think maybe I dreamt it or I made it up or something. I honestly have no idea. Anyway, yeah, so that was the Scooby-Doo game for V-Smile. That's what I think is honestly the most obscure that I can recall. But if anybody else has ever played it, please do let me know because I would love to know. I have never met anybody like in real life or even online that has also played this game. I've tried searching forums, I've tried like setting my dates back to like the early 2000s and searching for it, and I just can't find anybody else who's played this. I just would love to know. But yeah, that's gonna be all the entries that I have for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you stick around to see what other content I pump out on a whim in the future. Feel free to stick around, like, and subscribe. I hope you guys have a good one. Take care.